Well, when you join the MEAA, you're joining firstly a union, so an organisation that can provide you with industrial advice, that can represent you in bargaining and can protect you and your rights at work, but you're also joining a professional organisation. So we're an organisation that helps to set the professional standards in the industry through the Journalist Code of Conduct. We also have a number of awards nights around the country, including the Tasmanian Media Awards, which really promotes and rewards excellence in the industry. Well, membership is as long or as short as a member might want it to be. Traditionally, members that we have in the media are members throughout the long term, and specifically for students, we have a student membership at a reduced rate, which typically is a membership that lasts for that period that those members are students, and then they will go on to become full members when they enter the workforce. Well, there is a thing called a union wage premium, which is understood as being the amount that union members make in excess of what non-union members make. And there's a lot of research demonstrating that workers on collective bargaining arrangements or where the arrangements are negotiated with the assistance of unions earn more than non-members, and that's typically put at sort of 10, 15 or more percent. So when you're a union member and you're involved in bargaining, you're likely to be earning significantly more than non-members. But even when you aren't bargaining, so if, for example, you're a freelancer or someone negotiating your own contract, having a union means that you're able to get that specialist contractual advice that non-members can't get. Well, there is industrial advice that we provide to our members, so both in terms of collective industrial advice and protection. That's one of the main things that we do. That's one of the main things that unions do. It's to promote better collective terms and conditions for their members through enterprise bargaining. But we also recognise that many of our members are on individual or freelance arrangements, and to that end, we provide extensive contractual advice to those members. More generally, legal issues that are outside the employment sphere, we're able to provide legal advice for that via lawyers that we use, especially for MEAA members. You know, we represent members, and members, you know, obviously sort of fork out their hard-earned dollars so that we can represent them. That being said, we're always open to having the conversation with non-members and bringing them on board as well. So what usually would occur would be someone would contact us, join the union, and would be able to prospectively represent them. If there are more in-depth industrial issues that they've got, we might ask them, to provide that membership for that, say, preceding 6 months or something like that, which is invariably going to be a better option for that person than, say, seeking their own external legal advice, which can be very expensive. The MEAA is very concerned about some of the changes around whistleblowers, but beyond that, some of the bigger legislative changes around things like national security laws. So one of our roles is not just as an industrial advocate of our members, not just as a professional advocate of our members, but also to act as a spokesperson nationally on matters of interest to our members and general public interest. So there's a number of Senate inquiries, for example, going on as we speak around the future of media, around cross-media ownership laws, and there's been similar inquiries touching on some of the issues that you've raised. The MEAA is always heavily involved in those and advocates for its membership, but also for the broad and important principle of freedom of the press, freedom for whistleblowers, and the importance that quality free journalism has in a thriving democracy. Well, freelancers are the biggest growing segment of the MEAA's media membership. Obviously, over the last few years, there has been a decline in journalists working as employees of major news organisations. many of those journalists have not simply gone on to do other things or left the profession. They've remained within the profession, but as freelancers. So we've held a number of freelance events over the last year or so. We've launched a special membership, Freelance Pro, which, amongst other things, incorporates an amount of insurance, which we find for freelancers is particularly important because they don't have the usual in-house sort of legal protections that people working for newspapers might have. So we recognise that freelancers are an important, and like I said, growing part of our membership. One of the pitfalls, especially for freelancers or people who aren't attached to any particular publication, is thinking that doing work for free or at a very cheap rate will somehow get you into the industry. Our experience is that doesn't work out that way. All it does is lower the overall standards for colleagues who are trying to get into the industry and sends a signal to the less reputable people in the industry that people will work for less. Internships. I think unpaid internships can be particularly challenging and problematic for a lot of young people. There are such things as ethical internships, and we know in our industries, especially connected with university courses, that they can be and are useful, but we know that sometimes that can also be exploited. So we've provided a internship guide, just so that young people especially can be aware of what's ethical and what's not. So that's one thing I'd point to as a pitfall. The other is where employers seek to, especially for young employees, regulate their terms and conditions on an individual basis. It's a truism of any workplace relationship that the employer has the experience, has the power, has the legal advice behind them, and it's only through individuals, whether they're journalists or anyone else, acting collectively, that they can actually start negotiating on something like a level playing field. MEAA has quite a broad membership. It's essentially four different unions that over time have grown into one. The media section is one, and that's comprised not just of journalists, but also of communications professionals. So public relations workers as well as journalists. We represent artists and performers under the banner of equity. We represent musicians, so for example here in Tasmania, the Tasmanian Symphony Orchestra, and the fourth and final section that we represent covers the behind the scenes people in the arts and entertainment industry, so screen technicians, cameramen and women, and also the people, say at the MCG or Etihad Stadium that clip your tickets, the event staff, also at racetracks. So it's quite a wide and diverse membership. One thing that binds, I think, all of those members is though they work in the information, entertainment and arts space. Well, there's a number of different ways to network. One is through local events. There are various awards nights that many of our members attend and often are nominated for, that are a good chance to network with other media types. But also our members and the union are very active on social media, so there's plenty of opportunities to network in that forum as well.